Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today, we will unravel the story within 20 Years After by Alexandre Dumas. 20 Years After by Alexandre Dumas, published in 1845, is the second novel in the dArtagnan romances series, following the Three Musketeers. Set during the turbulent years of the Fronde, a series of civil wars in France and the English Civil War, this novel reunites dArtagnan and his three famous comrades, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, after 2 decades apart. Now older and with their own individual lives, the Musketeers find themselves drawn back together by shifting political alliances, loyalty to their causes, and lingering bonds of friendship. The novel explores themes of power, betrayal, and the personal cost of political intrigue. Plot summary. In the cold dawn of a divided France, a lone figure rides through the streets of Paris. It is dArtagnan, a soldier of the king, older now but as determined as ever. France is a powder keg, ready to explode in rebellion as Cardinal Mazarin, the Italian minister, raises taxes and alienates the nobility. But Mazarin needs loyal men who have faced impossible odds before and triumphed. And so, dArtagnan is summoned. His mission is clear: reunite the old Musketeers, though 20 long years have passed since they last stood side by side. dArtagnan finds his friends scattered, each living in the shadow of his former self. Athos, the noble and wise, has retired to his estate, raising his son, Raoul, with the quiet dignity of a man who has seen too much of war. Aramis, ever the strategist, has become a priest, though his ambitions remain as sharp as ever, always calculating his next move in the grand game of politics. Porthos, the jovial giant, has grown wealthy and dreams only of gaining more power and a higher title, his simple desires still driven by his love for grandeur. Despite their differences, dArtagnan's call stirs something deep within them. Old loyalties are hard to break. Together, they plunge once more into the turbulence of France, where the country is on the brink of civil war. This time, the enemy is not Spain or England, but their own people. The Fronde, a rebellion of nobles against the crown, threatens the fragile peace. And Cardinal Mazarin, who stands at the center of power, is loathed by all. dArtagnan, ever loyal to the crown, finds himself reluctantly aligned with Mazarin. The Musketeers' personal loyalties begin to fray. Aramis, with his secret ambitions, and Athos, whose ideals of nobility clash with Mazarin's ruthlessness, find themselves increasingly sympathetic to the Fronde's cause. Only dArtagnan and Porthos remain steadfast in their service to the crown, though even Porthos is swayed by the promise of a grander title. Meanwhile, across the Channel, England is embroiled in its own civil war. The Musketeers are drawn into the orbit of this conflict when King Charles I of England, facing execution, reaches out to France for help. Athos, moved by his deep sense of honor and duty, feels compelled to act. The English king's plight resonates with him, and he persuades the others to undertake a perilous journey to save a monarch doomed by his own people. Their mission takes them through the war-ravaged English countryside, where loyalty is scarce and betrayal lurks at every corner. In England, they face impossible odds. Despite their courage and resourcefulness, they arrive too late to prevent the king's execution. Athos watches in despair as the axe falls, his heart heavy with the burden of failure. It is a bitter lesson for all. The world has changed, and even the most valiant efforts cannot always change the course of fate. With the king dead, they return to France, each man weighed down by the events in England and their own internal conflicts. The Fronde rebellion intensifies, and once again, the Musketeers find themselves on opposite sides of a growing divide. Aramis and Athos drift closer to the rebels, believing that France deserves better leadership than the corrupt Mazarin. dArtagnan, still loyal to the monarchy, struggles to understand his friends' decisions, but remains bound by his duty to the crown. In the midst of this turmoil, personal betrayals unfold. Athos's son, Raoul, grows into a young man and falls in love with Louise de la Vallière, setting the stage for future heartache. Aramis's scheming nature leads him deeper into political conspiracies as he navigates between his religious vows and his desire for power. Porthos, always simple in his ambitions, is drawn into Mazarin's web by the promise of a title, unaware of the dangers that await. The final confrontation comes not in the form of swords clashing, but in quiet moments of reckoning. Athos, disillusioned with the world of politics, withdraws once again to his estate, leaving the fray behind. Aramis disappears into the shadows, plotting for another day. Porthos, content with his new title, retires to enjoy his wealth. Only dArtagnan remains, still loyal, still serving the crown, but with a heart heavy from the choices that have driven him and his friends apart. As the Musketeers part ways once more, the bonds of friendship remain, though they are now bound by shared memories rather than shared causes. They are no longer the carefree adventurers of their youth. Time has changed them, and the world they once knew has become more complicated, more dangerous. In the end, the Musketeers' paths diverge, but they will always carry with them the spirit of their younger days, when honor, friendship, and adventure were all that mattered. They have become legends in their own time, men who stood against the tide of history, and though they could not always win, never failed to fight. Hope you had fun. If you're hooked, don't stop now. Continue with the rest of the dArtagnan Romances series by Alexandre Dumas. You'll find them below or on Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in Alexandre Dumas' original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.